Tens of thousands of people in Orange County are forced to evacuate as crews work around the clock tonight to stop a massive chemical tank from erupting into disaster.
On the afternoon of Thursday, May 21st, 2026, something went wrong inside a large industrial tank at the GKN Aerospace facility in Garden Grove, California. The chemical inside, methyl methacrylate, began to heat up, slowly at first, then faster. The automatic systems did exactly what they were designed to do. Valves opened, sprinklers activated, vapors were released, and yet by Sunday, 50,000 people had been forced from their homes. The governor of California had declared a state of emergency, and first responders were calling it, quote, possibly one of the worst chemical incidents in California history. The automatic systems worked. So why didn't that stop the crisis? That's the question this video is going to explore. Not through a technical lens, but through a human one, using a framework called the Readiness for Change framework. We're going to look at what could have been done differently, not to assign blame, but to understand how organizations prepare or fail to prepare for the moments when everything goes wrong at once. The 6 dimensions of this framework are context, informational assessment, value, efficacy, commitment, and effort. Let's take them one at a time. Context. The first dimension asks a fundamental question. Did the people responsible for this facility truly understand the situation they were operating in? Context isn't just about knowing what chemicals are in a tank. It's about understanding the full weight of what's at stake if something goes wrong. GKN Aerospace operates in a densely populated area of Orange County. Schools, hospitals, nursing homes, law enforcement stations, all within the evacuation zone. 50,000 residents within a few blocks of a tank holding a highly volatile, exothermically reactive chemical. Methyl methacrylate, MMA, is not an obscure substance. Its properties are well documented. When it heats up, it reacts with itself. That reaction releases more heat, which accelerates the reaction. In a sealed container, that process can build pressure until something gives. Either the tank ruptures and spills thousands of gallons of toxic liquid, or it explodes. A full contextual understanding of operating this facility would have framed the risk not as chemical storage, but as a potential community-level catastrophe. That framing changes everything. It changes how you invest in infrastructure. It changes how you train your people. It changes how closely you monitor systems on a Tuesday afternoon when nothing seems wrong yet. Context is the foundation of readiness. Without it, every other dimension is built on sand. Informational assessment. The second dimension looks at information. What signals were available, when were they received, and what was done with them. Here, the Garden Grove incident offers something important. The early warning system actually worked. The tank began overheating at 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon. By the time fire crews arrived, vapors were already being released through the relief valve. The sprinkler system had activated. Those are not failures. Those are designed responses doing their job. But here's the critical gap. After the initial response, authorities issued an evacuation order and then lifted it when conditions appeared to improve. That decision reflects a reactive informational posture. We looked at what was happening in that moment and concluded the immediate danger had passed. A predictive informational posture asks a different question. What is the next failure point, and what does our decision tree look like if we reach it? The cooling valves failed after that initial assessment. When they did, the situation escalated rapidly, from a contained incident to a crisis involving drone temperature monitoring, outside chemists being called in, and a state of emergency declaration. Strong informational assessment means building decision checkpoints before you need them. It means asking, if the primary cooling system fails, what is our protocol? Not after it fails, but in the planning phase. Weeks or months before any incident begins, the information was there. The question is whether the systems were in place to act on the right information at the right time. Value. The third dimension is perhaps the most uncomfortable to examine. Did the organization genuinely value prevention at the level this chemical required? Value shows up in the choices organizations make when no one is watching, when budgets get reviewed, when maintenance schedules get extended by a quarter, when a valve inspection gets deprioritized because production is running behind. We don't yet know what caused the MMA to begin overheating. Investigators won't be able to examine the root cause until the site is fully stabilized, but we know this. The cooling valves, the secondary system that crews relied on to bring the tank's temperature down, failed during the response. That failure tells a story. It may be a story about deferred maintenance, about inspection cycles that didn't catch a vulnerability, about a gap between what the safety documentation said and what was actually true on the ground. Value, in the readiness sense, is not about intent. Most organizations intend to be safe. It's about whether that intention is funded, whether it has a champion at the leadership level, whether, when a decision comes down to cost versus safety margin, the culture of the organization has been built to choose the margin. When the answer to that question is usually, but not always, that's where incidents like Garden Grove are born. Efficacy. The fourth dimension is efficacy, and it's subtler than it sounds. Efficacy isn't just about capability, it's about belief in that capability. Do the people responsible for safety genuinely believe their systems will hold under pressure? Early in the Garden Grove response, there was reason for cautious optimism. Fire crews were making progress. The temperature appeared to be stabilizing. That's not a failure of effort. It reflects a real belief that the systems were working, but that belief may have been built on an incomplete picture. When you assume your infrastructure will perform under crisis conditions without having stress tested it under crisis conditions, your efficacy is based on projection, not evidence. True organizational efficacy in high-risk environments comes from validated confidence. Not, we believe our cooling systems will work, but we have tested our cooling systems under simulated failure conditions, and here is what we know. There's a meaningful difference between a system that has been inspected and a system that has been tested. Inspection confirms what exists. Testing confirms what holds. If the valves that failed had been part of a live failure simulation drill in the past 12 months, the response team would have known their limits. They would have had a contingency already in motion, not a contingency being improvised in real time. Commitment. Commitment is the fifth dimension, and it speaks to sustainability. It's one thing to invest in safety at the moment of installation. It's another to maintain that commitment across years, leadership transitions, budget cycles, and the slow drift of organizational attention toward other priorities. Chemical facilities require continuous commitment, not annual. Continuous. That means regular drills, not just for the facility's own team, but in coordination with local fire authorities. It means updated emergency protocols that account for worst-case scenarios in a densely populated area. It means having pre-negotiated response agreements with county agencies before a crisis, so that when Thursday afternoon becomes Sunday morning, people aren't meeting each other for the first time at a command post. The escalating severity of the Garden Grove incident, from a Thursday afternoon response to a Sunday state of emergency, suggests that the response was built largely in real time. That's not a failure of the people on the ground. Those crews showed extraordinary dedication. It's a signal that the institutional preparation around them may not have kept pace with the risk. Commitment is what fills the gap between the day you install a safety system and the day you need it to hold. Effort. The sixth dimension is effort, and in many ways, it's the most visible one after the fact. Effort is what you can point to. It's the drills you ran, the engineers you hired, the response plans you built and tested and revised, the community notification systems you installed, the mutual aid agreements you signed before anyone asked you to. In the Garden Grove response, we saw enormous effort from first responders. Firefighters working through the weekend, drone monitoring every 10 minutes, chemists and scientists flown in from outside agencies. governor-level emergency declarations. That effort in the face of crisis is genuinely impressive. But the question the readiness framework asks is not how hard did people work when it was an emergency? It asks how much effort was invested before it became one. Pre-positioned effort looks different from reactive effort. It's subject matter experts on retainer, not called in during a crisis, but already at the table during annual risk reviews. It's evacuation plans that have been rehearsed with the community, not issued for the first time on a Friday night to 50,000 residents who don't know where to go. It's cooling contingencies that have been engineered, documented, and trained on, not invented at 2 a.m. by crews doing everything they can under impossible conditions. Effort before the crisis is what makes effort during the crisis coherent. The through line: when you look across all 6 dimensions, context, informational assessment, value, efficacy, commitment, and effort, a single pattern emerges from the Garden Grove incident. The technical systems performed as designed. The automatic valves opened. The sprinklers activated. The relief valve did its job. The failure, to the extent that we can call it that, appears to be in the human readiness system, built around those technical systems. Organizations in high-consequence environments often fall into what we might call compliance-oriented preparation. They meet the regulatory requirements, they pass the inspections, they check the boxes that are required to be checked. What the readiness framework calls for is something different: consequence-oriented preparation. Not what do we need to do to remain in compliance, but what happens when the thing we depend on stops working. And are we genuinely ready for that? Those are very different questions, and the gap between them is where incidents like this one live. 50,000 people are still displaced as this video is being produced. Investigators have not yet determined the root cause. The tank at GKN Aerospace has not yet been fully stabilized. We don't know the full story. We may not know it for months. But the readiness framework doesn't require a final report to be useful. It can be applied right now to your organization, your team, your industry, as a set of honest questions. Do the people responsible for our highest risk systems truly understand the context of what they're operating? Are we assessing information predictively or only reacting to what's already happening? Do our budgets and decisions reflect what we say we value? Is our confidence in our systems validated by evidence or by assumption? Is our commitment to safety continuous, or does it ebb and flow with urgency? And when the next crisis comes, will our effort be pre-positioned and coherent, or improvised and heroic? The difference between those two outcomes isn't luck, it's readiness. And that's why we build the Readiness for Change Institute to help companies prepare before there is an emergency. If you are interested, check out the link in the description below. If this video helped you, let us know in the comments and share with someone who you think might be interested as well. We will see you next time on Real Root Cause. Take care.